Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the Legend of Kelamentura recap series. This time, we are recapping session number 18. Are we done, Yeti? This is a sort of a continuation and wrap-up of the Yeti logging camp fight from the previous session, the end of it, where we had a full house. With the whole party was actually able to get online for once, which is, for I think, the first time in a good few weeks. Which is really good. It was really fun to have everybody back online, have the banter and the combat and everything else. So really good to have that. I'm sure other DMs know how good it is to actually have everybody, all the schedules align and all the rest of it. So that was really fun. Again, I'm going to apologize in advance for any background noise that might get picked up by the mic. I'm getting some work done in the garden today, so that may or may not get picked up. If it does, I apologize, but nothing I can do about it. We kick things off, like I said, with the wrap-up of the Yeti fight. I yada-yadaed in the previous session, or in between sessions, that Ariadne and Titus, they couldn't make it. Instead of just putting their PCs into, combat, and, Yetis are pretty scary. Yetis are pretty serious threats. The Chilling Gaze especially, getting paralyzed, as we learned with Achilles. And I didn't want a PC to be paralyzed when the player wasn't there and then get killed. That didn't sit right with me. So they were off back with the horses. And we said that what kept them out of the Yeti fight were a pack of wolves. A pack of wolves came up and attacked them, and the horses, but they managed to fight the wolves off, took a bit of damage, and then charged in. So we kicked off with Ariadne charging in the fight and bamfing out her arms of the astral self and just brutalizing one of the Yetis, smaller ones. Brutalizing them, drawing them away from the rest of the party, drawing them off to one side, getting their attention. And then when the rest of the Yetis came in, they sort of saw the new threats approaching to shoot them, gave them a new target. Effectively, they swarmed over towards Ariadne. Titus then rocked in and was able to use a couple of his. I can't remember the rune he used. I think it's the Eldritch Tattoo that gives him the extended range on his attacks. He was able to get into melee, and fuck up a couple of the Yetis. And as he said himself, Titus doesn't actually fight to kill. Titus. Yeah, that's his new name now. He's now Fitus, not Titus. Titus actually fights to unconsciousness, not to the death. So we described them as basically ended up the Titus knocked out to Yeti. He runs in, beats one up, beats another one up. Going, he's looking pretty rough. Okay, action surge, beats up just one Yeti. Two, knocked out one, knocked out another one, and then began to knock out a third. Yetis went, still frightened because of Bjorn and his fucking conquering presence. I mean, to be fair, I'm the one who gave him the buff. It made sense thematically, and it comes in so clutch. It just gives the player a little bit of extra power and agency, which is really fun to see. So that was that. Bjorn basically was able to finish off the last couple of Yeti. Same with Low. Low did some more really brutal damage to the rest of them. Achilles shrugged off his paralysis eventually. It was the end of his turn, so it was like, okay, you're no longer paralyzed. Next round, he was actually able to then, because he was no longer paralyzed, he was actually then able to use his rogue reactions and defensive duelist and parry attacks to the side and not take any more damage, which for him was a big deal. And then we get to the abominable Yetis, who did not recharge their breath weapon, unfortunately for me. Because there are a couple of times the party is like, oh, there's a nice little clump of party members there. Am I good at? Nope. Didn't roll hand enough. It's a 6 on the D6, and I rolled a 4 at best. And I was like, slight sad noises, but oh well. And then I don't remember exactly what, apologies for this, Duchess, but I don't remember what spells were used. I think it was Firebolt, a couple of spiritual weapons, bits and pieces like that, because Yetis are afraid of fire. So he used to fling some magic fire around, some other spells, deal a bit of damage. I think there was a bit of healing that went on there as well. Apologies, I can't remember. But yeah. And then over the next round or so, able to take out basically the Titus's two Yetis were unconscious on the ground, tied them up with rope. The rest of the Yeti, the abominable ones, and I think there was how many Yetis there were? I'm going to say there were 6 normal Yetis. 2 were unconscious, killed 3. So 2 unconscious, 3 killed, 2 abominable Yetis killed, and 1 more Yeti just went, nope, and just ran away. That was the one that, because of the fear, tried to go after the Duchess. She ran away from him, couldn't get closer because of the fear, ran towards the weapon rack that Yetis had made, and was just chucking these homemade Yeti pike spear things. I couldn't hit for shit, unfortunately, because fear. And then the Yeti went, nope, and just ran the fuck away. Was pursued by Lowe, but it was actually ended up being dispatched by Achilles, who, back in Steelborough, when they fought Ursil, there were a number of Duergar armed with rifles. He managed to take one of the rifles, and for the first time ever actually used the rifle and was able to take a shot at the Yeti as it was running away with fear. Now, I gave him advantage. Now, I allowed him to use a sneak attack on that. The rifle does a lot of damage to begin with. It's bad news, basically, so it's 2d12 plus dex for the damage. And I allowed him sneak attack because I thought, well, the Yeti is running away, terrified with its back to you. It has no idea you're there. So I said, okay, I'll give you sneak attack. So that was, I can't remember the damage. It was a shit ton. And I basically said, yeah, you take a shot and the Yeti's head just goes, Gallagher watermelon disappears. Which, pretty gory. But that was the party's first time seeing these things used in anger. I think they've encountered them. The weapons exist. Rifles, firearms exist in Kelamentura. The party have seen them before, but haven't seen them used like this before. So it's a moment of, oh, they're scary. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Oh, no. It just worked out quite well. So did that. Yetis tied up. And then came to the aid of the sole survivor of the camp. He was a carpenter, or one of the workers. One Jamie Teal. Came to him, did a bit of healing, nursed him back a wee bit because he had taken some damage, he'd taken some wounds in the initial Yeti attack, had a pretty nasty wound on his leg that was infected. You better clean it out, use some magic to sort the infection out. It's going to take some time to heal that kind of wound because it's an infection that's set in over a number of days. That still takes some time to clear up. But the party's intervention, stopped the immediate, cleaned up whatever was there, and dressed it, whatever. So he's going to keep the leg. He's going to make a full recovery on that, basically. And Achilles, while the party were then dealing with the Yetis, get back to that in a second. Achilles went off into the office where they had found Jamie initially, had a bit of a talk with him, and went into the safe that was in the office. Went in, Achilles picked the lock. I think it was a 23 on both. I think it was a 23 and a 30 something, I think, were the two locks. There was a lock for the safe and then a lock for the pay chest. The safe was like a 23, which is straight in. Pay chest, he rolled a 19 because his expertise in sleight of hand. So I was like, roll whatever. Expertise with thieves' tools. So it was like a 32, which is like the highest he could. Basically, outside of a nat 20, that was like, you just don't even look one-handed, put the lock in, and that's it. I locked the pay chest, locked the safe. And then got in, had a look around, and just found like general admin papers for the running of the logging camp, like invoices, requests, that sort of a thing. Just general admin stuff. And then found a bundle of personal papers, letters, if you will. Like letters going back and forth between the foreman of the logging camp. Okay, runs it back to his wife back in town. Just because he's a couple of days out of town, you can't just You can't just run back and forth all the time. So his letters going back and forth, going, oh yeah, everything's all good, that sort of thing. And then found another bundle of letters to another woman in the town. So the foreman, who was dead, not to speak ill of the dead, even in the fantasy genre, had a bit on the side and was writing back and forth. And they were somewhat, shall we say, spicy letters? We'll call them spicy letters. Back and forth with this other woman. And the funny thing was that it was Achilles who found these. And it was just like, not that the party couldn't see it, but I think Achilles described it going, the party can't see this, but Achilles goes as red as his coat and is reading the letters going, Mike, oh God, I just stuffed them back in the safe, completely embarrassed. Like, oh, no. Scoundrel. Put them away. Soraya, effectively dead naming you there. Duchess. The Duchess messaged, you fired off a message to Thrain and Brugmere to tell them, camp's been liberated, Yeti's all good, one survivor, we're dealing with everything else here. We're going to head on, Jamie's going to stay here. Reply was like, oh, happy days, we'll send out a party, clean up, whatever. So initially, Jamie was going to head back by himself, wounded leg and everything. But then after these main messages going back and forth, decided, no, I'm going to stay put. I can stay put for a couple of days. It's fine. And the party then headed out. Had the horses, whatever else in the carts. And I think at one point they decided to use Titus as a kind of sled type thing. Because Titus is he's a big enough fella. Shell's pretty sizable. So I think it was the girls. So we had Duchess, Ariadne, and I think maybe one other person, I can't remember. Duchess, Ariadne, maybe Achilles. Kind of riding on Titus like a sled being dragged behind the horses. So that was a little goofy moment. And then going got tough and had to get back on the horses and go on foot type thing. But eventually, after a couple of days, uneventful travel, arrived with the map that Achilles had acquired. Specifically went out at one point and asked, okay, I'm going to head here. Where do I go? Guard drew a map. Here's the valley. Able to sort of go, oh, no, yeah, you know where you are. You know, in the valley, the Hermit's here. Oh, sorry, back to the Yetis. I forgot about them. The party had the Yetis tied up, intimidated them, zone of truth, and started going, well, why the hell are you guys down here? What brought you this way? It transpired that a frostworm had attacked the Yetis and drove them out of where they normally lived in the mountains. And they had found this logging camp. It was the first thing they really found was like, here's a logging camp. Okay, we're desperate. Fuck these loggers. Fuck these woodsmen. We're taking over. And we're in the process of effectively arming themselves with wooden like clubs and spears to, deal some damage to the frostworm. So that was that. And then Yetis wouldn't refuse to act as guides, going, no, we're not heading back to go to the Hermit. And at one point the Yetis told them that some of their kin had stayed with the Hermit, had stayed behind with this Hermit that they encountered. Were asked, do you want to act as a guide? The Yetis went, fuck that. And then I believe it was Titus says, okay, I have one final question for you. Do you want to come back as a nice cloak or a hat? What do you want to get turned into? Which the Yetis went, nope, snapped their ropes and fled. One of them was like immediately, I believe, Titus decked him, and then Bjorn spiked him with his warhammer. Just, nope, you're not going anywhere. The other one actually got a bit of a distance, but again, low dagger in the back, and Titus went large, picked up the dead Yeti and threw it at the one who was fleeing. So the two Yetis tried to run and just instantly, nope, you're dead. Fuck you. It's just fun. Little brutal moment, but sure. You show the party. It's like the Scallybags. Chaotic, but once you put them in combat, just do not fuck with them. So that was that. Back to the Hermit Valley. And once they know, no, this is the right valley. And Achilles basically went, yeah, sound carries really far in this. And my initial thought was, Okay, Achilles says, so sound carries quite far in these valleys. And I was like, can you imagine? So you can see there's steep, there's like rocky walls on either side and it extends for quite a way. There's a bit of snow on the ground, which might dampen it. But yeah, there's rock and it's basically a giant funnel. The DM thinks, oh, okay, sound travels. Okay, they're aware that sound can travel. Okay, they're going to be a bit stealthy. Nope. Exact opposite. Achilles basically stands up, clears his throat, and megaphones down the valley. Just, Hermit, I hereby challenge you to a duel. And just heads off. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's do this. Me thinking they were going to stealth in, that whole thing written out for, oh yeah, you're going to go down. Anyway, they went down, started trudging through the valley, keeping an eye out. And after a while, realized the weather was turning. Okay, the weather was initially just kind of cold, but pretty clear. Maybe a wee bit overcast. And then out of nowhere, this like mild storm rolls in. Not like a full whiteout blizzard, but like, oh, okay, this is uncomfortable. Down to like a couple hundred feet of visibility. Traveled for a while, and then out of like the sort of the whiteout conditions coming into the visibility, saw Yeti, two abominable Yeti, each one with like a winter wolf on a chain. That's okay, fair enough. And then another figure in between the abominable Yeti, kind of like a boxer coming in, basically like a boxer coming into a ring that's surrounded by their entourage, crew, whatever the term is. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. You're doing this, grand, no worries. I went forward, saw them. Achilles then basically took a knee, effectively, like a sort of a dueling kneel samurai pose almost. Titus drew in a ring and waited. I think Low went invisible. Low went invisible when they got close, or went invisible at some point. You know, okay, I'm going to be waiting for them to approach, see if anything happens. And the Yeti saw the ring and took this kind of like flanking position near the ring. And then the Hermit came close. And as they got close, realized that, oh, he's a big guy. Oh, he's a very big guy. Oh, he's a large creature. Okay. And he was wearing this like sort of tatty brown robe, hooded cloak type thing. Got into the ring, removed the robe, and it was a Planetar. It was a fallen Planetar. You know, usual opalescent green skin, white wings, but there was like tinges of darkness and black in the skin on the wings. So, fallen angel, if you will. Went forward, called out, okay, so looked at Achilles, so you're the one who challenged me. Achilles goes, that's me, let's do this. Went into the ring. I was, okay. Went into initiative, and the Planetar got the drop at Achilles. Bumped out the wings, flew forward, and woof, woof, 2 strikes. I rolled a natural 20 on the first. So, crit right out the gate. Nice way to start a duel. And I believe the total damage from the crit was 67 points of damage. A mixture of slashing and radiant. If you know what a Planetar's damage is, you know that's a hell of a lot. Achilles was able to uncanny dodge that. So it only took 33. And then the second strike was not a crit, but I think I rolled like a 20-something to hit. Really, really high. That was another damage. And the total on that was, I think, 40-something, 47. So 33 and 47 taking 80 points of damage. 2 strikes. So yeah, Achilles got fucked up in those 2 strikes. And Achilles then decided that, okay, went forward, stabbed him, did a good chunk with his rapier and his sneak attack. Swashbuckler rogues get their sneak attacks if they're the only thing within 5 feet, I believe. That might not be verbatim, but that's my, how does sneak attack work again? But anyway, got that. I think it was like 38 points of damage. Really good strike, really respectable damage. With his action, and then turned around and boop, just nope, dived into the snow to hide. Planetar saw it, reached into the snowbank, palmed Achilles, the hand just wrapped around the chest. Used a healing touch, actually. Picked him up, poured like 40 points of heal into him, Chuck picked him up and just put him out of the ring. I think I rolled a nat 20 on whatever the grapple strength check was. Just threw him out of the ring with Achilles. Landed a heap at the feet of his party. And Planetar then stepped forward and bellowed at the party going, I want a challenge! You know, you can see the madness and the rage in the eyes. And we wrap things up there because, yeah, that was like, we've been playing for, that was the end of the session because I'm going, this can go on for a while. I don't know what's going to happen next. So that's the next session is going to do a pickup with the Planetar session. Now I've been chatting with Achilles since the player, chatting away, getting his feel for how the character approaches duels, his thought process, because I have ideas for how I'm going to approach it, and I want to do a thing that might help. I don't know. I have ideas in my head, and whenever we get forward, I'll see what happens. I have ideas. I'll do my spiel and give it and let him decide how he wants to progress. But for now, I'm really happy with it. We'll see what goes on. And yeah, check in next time to see what happens when Achilles goes up against this Planetar, this fallen angel, or whatever the rest of the Scallybags decide to do. But there we go. I'll leave it there. So until next time, adventurers, stay safe and see ya.